Welcome to another episode of The Modern Black Man. I am joined by the big homie, the OG, the one, the only, Big Doug. What's happening?
What's up, man? I don't know. You could call me big homie. It looked like your birthday before mine.
Oh man, oh man, it's coming up, man. I'm blessed, bro. I'm so excited to live another year, to have another revolution around the sun, whatever you want to call it. I'm gonna do something about it this year, man.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
but
live life. You're right. You're right.
yeah, but it was before mine.
It is. It is. You know, greatness comes first. We got a lot of great topics today. I think that you are uniquely qualified to discuss events that many of us are only watching on social media. Some of us have been following along the news, but the eruption of violence and vitriol in California. What
Yeah,
exactly
man.
is going on? Whose side are we on?
Well, I would like to be on the side of righteousness. So on the side of good, or on the side of right versus what I believe to be right, if that makes sense. So I think the issue with most of these kids is they have a warped sense of reality, and they believe that if it feels good, then everybody else should be okay with it. If it sounds good, then everybody else should be willing to do with it. But what you have to understand is if if we try to, I say we minimize it, right? Make it a more of a um, this minimize, make it more personal, right? If we were just talking about houses, right? We weren't talking about the state. We weren't talking about the city. We were talking about the house itself, right? If I said, okay, I'll take you on merit. Let's just say for every house, we are going to put in 5 migrants.
Mm.
Nobody's going to go along with that, right? But they're so quick to say that I'm racist or I'm xenophobic for saying that we should our borders are sovereign and they should be protected, and we have a means of coming into our country legally, and we should force all people to abide by those simple rules, right? um all that being said, we know for a fact that hundreds of thousands of people came into this country illegally just last year, right?
Mm.
And since I would say Biden took office, hundreds of millions of people have poured into this country illegally.
Hundreds of millions.
I don't know. I don't know the numbers. I don't know. I
In
don't. I don't.
okay,
I don't even. I don't even pretend to know the numbers. What I
I'm gonna
will.
let you cook, cuz. I'm
Yeah.
gonna let you cook.
What I will say is one person coming into my house uninvited would present a problem if I were talking about my house.
Sure.
Why can't I have that same allegiance to my state or to my country, right? Why am I supposed to treat my country as if it can belong to anybody who wants it to belong to? But when it comes to my house, then I have some type of moral obligation to protect the people inside, right?
Mm.
But I believe I have a moral obligation to protect the people inside my sovereign country, right? So when it pertains to California, California is one of them places that it has no direction, right? It's run by one of the probably the worst politicians in my life's history. Like I can't remember a politician
Gavin
just
Newsom is the example of a bad politician. Okay.
no, all I would say all with the exception of their new um they have a new guy in there. I think he's their um well, that part eludes me. But at any rate, 99% of their politicians are bad. But
Okay.
their leader, the head of the snake is evil at its core. Like Gavin Newsom is he's a liar. I mean, I don't understand how a person can continuously vote for these people, man. Like they're voting for him consistently. Like I don't understand liberals, bro. I really don't. I don't understand liberals. Because if you ask me, if when I'm watching the news and I'm watching these kids throwing stuff at police officers, you have to ask yourself, if their houses were getting robbed right at the moment where they were protesting,
Mm.
who would they call? Right? Because they've been raising hell on the other side of town, right? Because if I mean, what you don't know is what most people don't know is if they look when they're watching TV, LA is a really, really, really big place. Okay.
Mhm.
And for those of you that don't know, LA is massive. Okay. So there could be a riot going on outside of the ICE building and my mom living a normal life where she is. Right.
Right.
Like none of it ever touching her because that's how big LA is. With that
Mhm.
being said, you have kids that's coming from, other sides of the tracks, so to speak, to let their voices be heard, even though they're not talking, right? I mean, I remember protests back in the day. You got picket fences, you got pickets up, and everybody's outside yelling, what I'm saying, free such and such, so on and so forth. They're not doing that anymore, right? Their voices, they don't have anything to say, so their voices aren't being heard because they're not talking. They're
Mm.
fighting. They're actually fighting. So when it comes, if you're actually fighting, you can't be you can't come to the point where you don't understand why the president decides to call in the National Guard. You're fighting against the police in your state, right?
You
So if
got to
they
unpack this with me though, because
go ahead,
that's a lot of what's going on. That's what's happening in the today.
right?
We used to call it a microaggression, something that was pretty weak, and you don't know how you could construe it as something aggressive, but that's the way they fight now. Instead of being able to protest, instead of being able to disagree, instead of being able to go back and forth, instead of there being discourse and dialogue, it's stupid. They getting
Right.
paintballs, they getting rocks, they're just cursing, fighting, and violencing. So I know I'm kind of throwing a lot out there, but I want to get to this point. If those were black bodies, the response would be very different. So now I view this situation with a level of complication and apprehension.
Well, I mean, my whole thing is I don't think the average American. I think the average American feels like I feel.
Mm,
I think that those that don't feel like I feel are the fringe, and you can tell they're the fringe because they don't have anything, let's say, useful to say, right? Like they don't have their arguments aren't arguments. They're just crying, right? They're
mm,
upset, but they don't have a reason to be upset. So the reason why I say that is when I was talking about that kid that lives on the other side of the tracks in LA, what I'm saying? When he's done with all of this for the day, it's going to take him 45 minutes to get home,
mhm,
depending on how he's getting there. Now, if he's driving, it's going to take him 35. But more than likely, he's going to hit some traffic on the way, right? Because bottom line, he lives far away from where he stopped to start some shit tonight, this morning,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
And when I think of like where the ice, like let's say where the ice building that I saw on TV last night, where it's located, it's in downtown LA. I mean, and then they have one that's like pretty much near Compton. And I'm trying to wrap my mind around the proximity of where these places are. And when I looked at the video in Compton, there wasn't too many white folk in that video. There was a lot of Mexicans in that video, but it wasn't too many white folk in that video, right? But the one
yeah.
downtown, that's really close to the Staples Center, it was plenty of white folk in that video. You know what I'm saying? And these kids, they just running around, they running crazy because they know they're not going to get arrested.
But they know that they can get active, and that's what they're doing.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, put it. I think of it this way: if let's just say, if you were when we were kids, and you and your brother, your big brother, was at home, y'all got left at home by yourselves. You could act a fool because your big brother ain't gonna do nothing to you. He may tell, or he may not, right? But he ain't gonna do nothing to you.
He
So
would
you,
body slam me. No, he would be the police. Like that's what I'm saying. Like They can't do that because they don't have it. It's the same thing with Austin Metcalf here in Texas. These young people are killing each other because there is no rule, there's no structure. So their reactions are horrible and they're volatile. I'm tired of
Yeah,
it.
yeah. And then I mean, well, I mean, the electorate voted Donald Trump in because they wanted a difference. They wanted a change. They wanted different from what they're seeing today. Right. What we see right now in LA and what we see in Texas is what we were seeing for the last 4 years. And if you really want to go back for the last 8 years, because even if you remember the summer of love,
Mhm.
um, that obviously wasn't no love involved because a lot of people got hurt and some people got killed during that time, especially over in Seattle. You know what I'm saying? It was just it's going to be 2.0 for this summer of love crap. It's going to be a 2.0 of it. I don't and I have no I honestly believe it's going to be worse, and that's only because I mean these kids are emboldened, bro. I mean they these kids, most of them are on mommy and daddy's dime. They living in California, but they probably from some other state, and right now they ain't got no classes, so they ain't got nothing to do.
Okay, so let's just label them as young Latin men from Arizona that have nothing but negativity on their mind, in the minority, right? The ones that you said were closer to the downtown building, right?
Yeah,
So that checks. And just like you said, the diversity of LA. You can make it look like it's the black kids, you can make it look like it's the Mexican kids, but we still haven't paid attention to the white kids or the
because
Asian.
it's only white kids, bro. It's only I mean you go out there, it's only white kids that doing this, bro. There ain't a bunch of black dudes out there caring about what's going on at the border. You know why? Because they
Mhm.
too busy thinking about other things that don't matter.
That's a strong point. I mean, that's a social critique, and unfortunately, it is what we accept as a culture. It's what we breed as a culture. Us as
Yeah,
men not leading and not steering interest towards things that really are pertinent to life.
right, right. So what I've noticed. Oh, and this what really was funny to me when I was watching these videos because I was watching it live, um, and it was only so I can have a real thought about it rather than just looking at a sound bite or something like that and taking somebody else's thoughts. I really just sat there and watched it live for the better part of an hour, and what I could hear in the background is some white guy yelling, if you're black or brown, shame on you. If you're black or brown, shame on you. And I'm like, I'm listening to it, I'm like, if they're black or brown, it's their neighborhood.
Hmm.
So how could you say shame on you when they're upset because these kids are ruining their neighborhood?
Right. It's so easy to do, isn't it?
Right. I mean,
Is there who we want to punish?
right. If they're especially if they're law enforcement, if they're law enforcement, then they're really, I could see the bravery because now they're taking on their community to make it better. Right. Like that's what you have to decide to do as somebody that's going to be doing law enforcement in their own neck of the woods because people know you, right?
That's
They know
right.
your face, so they um all right, I see you, Officer Brian. I see you. Okay. And then all of a sudden, that same person you happen to see doing something wrong, and they think for whatever reason that you're not going to do your job because of the same complexity of your skin color,
But then you
which I
do the job and they bust you in the head with a brick.
right. You do now. You do your job, and now all of a sudden, now you're an Uncle Tom or you're a self-hating black man. But the reality of it
That's a
is you're trying
victim's
to
mentality.
exactly you're trying to make compute community better. So
Right.
that's that's one of the things I was also seeing in the videos that I were watching, and I mean, like I said, it all boils down to kids outside of their neck of the woods emboldened to go other places because there's already law enforcement there. If I'm fighting against law enforcement, I don't have to worry about getting robbed, right? If I'm fighting against law enforcement, I don't have to worry about somebody G checking me or something like that. I just don't have to worry about those sort of things, right? Because us smart black folk, we don't go around. We just don't make it a purpose in our day to find police that are already wearing riot gear. I mean, we don't make it a purpose in our day to see those sort of things in real life. We'll watch it on the news later on, right?
Right.
But these children that I'm referring to, you know what I'm saying, their entire life they've been isolated from what we would find normal, right? What we would find as something that is a normal occurrence in our neck of the woods. What So that when they come over there, they're emboldened because they already know they're not going to get arrested. They're emboldened because they're going around police, so they don't have to worry about those that live over there. And as a result, we don't realize as the people that are in question, and I say we because I'm part Mexican too, they're looking down on you at the same time. They're literally they're literally yelling, who's going to clean the president's bath toilet? Who's going to
Mm,
pick our cotton? These are the things that they're saying out their own mouths, bro. Like they're actually saying it. And if you want to ask me who's going to do it, somebody with a birth certificate. How about that? How about that?
mm.
How about let's just let somebody with a birth certificate pick the cotton? If that's your big issue right now, sir, let's just let somebody with a birth certificate do it. You know what I'm saying? Because quite honestly, I don't want to pay for somebody that doesn't want to assimilate, right? I don't mind as a taxpayer paying for people that's going to assimilate. What does that even mean, right? So I don't want to go looking at the actual definition of it, but to the point, assimilating is taking on, right? You're taking on those values of the place that you're going to. You're
Pass the
taking on them.
censorship.
You're taking on those customs, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
not it's not just a legal thing. It's a mentality thing that you have to do, right? You
Mm-hmm.
learn English. This is assimilating. I don't want to talk to somebody that speaks Spanish. That's why I don't just spend a whole bunch of time all day in Mexico because I don't want to have to learn that language. Same thing of me going, I don't go to Africa because I don't want to have to learn all of these different dialects of African. All I want
Mm-hmm.
to do is speak American. I just want to speak English. So I can just say, I just want to speak American. Right? So why would I let a flood of people that don't care about my heritage, they don't care about my language, they don't care about my American customs,
Right.
why would I want them in the country if these are not things that they're willing to assimilate to? Because quite
Yeah.
honestly, I'm all about, law-abiding people, right? I'm
Yeah.
all
Me.
about people that just want to go to work and go home, right? So it's not going to make sense for me to sit around and saying just because they're they're coming across the border impoverished, all of a sudden I'm supposed to forget about the fact that they I mean, people that are part of MS-13 and these other gangs, do you know what they have to do to be initiated? Most of them have to
Murder.
kill a family member, bro. Like
Mm.
when you gotta bring yourself to be that kind of monster, I don't know why I want you here. I don't know
I
why I should want
mean,
you
I'm definitely talking about like conjecture and what I've heard, but yeah, all that stuff is like gang banging don't make no sense, whether it's in Arkansas or in Venezuela, like El Salvador, you know what I'm saying, or Nigeria. It just don't make no sense. Organized crime, I have a different perspective on, but we'll talk about that another time.
here. He said organized guy got a
I'm
different
just saying it's a difference,
perspective.
though. It's a difference. It
Well,
really
I mean,
is.
I guess it kind of depends on the culture, right? So,
Right.
most people, when they're thinking about organized crime, the first thing they think about are, Italians.
Right.
And I think the only major difference between Italians and everyone else was order, right? It was just the order. I mean, I think the guy said it best on that one movie that Denzel Washington was in. And he
Mm-hmm.
said, he pretty much said that, what I'm saying, no one man is above order. You know what I'm saying? One man falls. No, we keep order in the house. You know what I'm saying? But like, yeah, it is a guerrilla mindset for just about every other race that
I mean,
can't.
this is an appropriate transition. Italian La Costa Nostra has structure, order, and rules as a
Right.
means of cultural assimilation. Many blacks have benefited from running plays from this book. I think
Hmm.
that if we look back in the time, we could see Nikki, Teflon
Yeah.
Don,
Yeah.
uh, Nicky Barnes. And now we're looking today to his godson, P. Diddy, who's on trial. Our second topic of the day.
He said it's Godson. Is that really his Godson?
But Diddy, he has been undone in front of us all. We have learned too much about his personal life, private life, and sexual activity. I don't really care what the man was into. And unfortunately, I've been engrossed by this trial and listening to all the horrific. It, I'm sorry. I guess it's horrific, but that's what the man was into. You can't act like it's an accident that you walked into a room of hard dick. Like, you came here for this. You texted me that you wanted to do this. And then I got the whole team together and you're acting confused makes me feel very uncomfortable for him. The fact that he engaged in this lifestyle for so long and most recently embraces being a swinger and all this stuff just makes him look
Gay as hell.
bad. Then you get to the litigious nature of this whole thing of them suing him, bringing him to justice for violations of what crime? Like, it's not sex trafficking from what I'm seeing because they always went back. Like like it wasn't like he actually. I don't know. I'll stop right there. They always
Well,
came back, and that just makes me feel like there's a level of consent before, during, and after that we don't even talk about before we allege crime.
so the idea behind the prosecution is presented in the RICO statute.
I'm
Okay,
hip.
so you need. I believe there's three components to the RICO statute that I don't necessarily want
It's
to
an
sit here.
enterprise. You make money, and that's what the enterprise is for, essentially. And there's no way they're going to make RICO charges stick because they were not in the business of crime.
We don't know
Diddy
that
talked
though.
a lot of ish.
I don't know if we know that. I mean, I think that was more of a that's more conjecture than anything because I don't we don't know what he won't say out loud, right? So everything else has to be proven in open court. The fact of the matter is if you are paying for a hooker or if she's not a hooker, let's just say she's not a hooker, but you are paying to have sex with that person and
Mm.
they go across state lines to do that, that's a federal crime. So I
Okay,
mean,
let's talk about that because you're talking about Capricorn as a gal name. He was paying the rent. He was paying $15,000 a month for her rent. Does
you
that
talking
make
about one
her an
person.
employer? Does that make her obligated? Either way, she's down. She was riding the train, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably say that too. I think that's a very chauvinistic way of looking at it. But I mean, me personally, I think coercion is a real byproduct of these sort of things. And you're not going to convince me that she was just okay with just getting her rent paid as long as I mean, and all she had to do was swallow gallons of cum a week. I mean, you can't convince me that's that was the hallmark of her deal, right? Like,
Wait,
right?
you're
Like,
saying that you don't believe that she signed up for that?
I don't. No, I don't believe she signed up for everything. I don't believe she signed up to get beat on. I don't believe that she signed up to
No,
consistent
I
to
don't believe she
consistent.
started to get beat on, but I've been to South Beach. I know some that live there, and that's their lifestyle. I mean, I'm not trying to praise
Oh yeah, I
any.
believe you. Yeah, you right when it comes to a working girl. But
Yeah,
we talking
she
about
wasn't that. Is what you're saying? She wasn't that.
well, I mean, bottom line, just because it is if it were a working girl, it wouldn't make it any more or less. Uh, it wouldn't make it any more. What's the word I'm looking for?
Traumatizing.
Legal. You know what I'm saying? Because once you cross the state lines with that person to go make money, if they make money on another, if they cross state lines, it's now federal because it's against the law to do such a thing. For instance, like if you go to Vegas, prostitution is legal in Vegas, right? But I cannot send somebody in Vegas to California to make a dime, right? I can't do that.
Kind of, sort of, but like litigiously, you can go to brothels and state sanctioned sex work is legal, but people don't go to. A lot of people don't go to Vegas for that. Going to the strip club and then giving Nikki $500 to go back to Palazzo, like that's more in line.
But it's also legal there. It's legal there.
But I don't think it. Well, I don't think it's strictly. I don't think it's legal like that. I
I
think that like they
I
have
couldn't be more.
legal
I couldn't be more sure of
sanctions.
this. It's
But if I
legal.
get it from the BBL shots back at the spot with my recording devices and it becomes my video, that is trafficking sex across state lines, is what I'm saying, right?
Yeah. But I'm just saying. I mean, had all of this. Let's say they all lived in Vegas. If they all lived in Vegas, we wouldn't be having this conversation, right?
Yeah.
But because they are taking Sin City all over the country,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
That This is why that part of the Rico will stick, right? The second part is I forget
Mm.
which how they were laying it out, but you only have to prove two of them, two of the three, right?
No,
So
it's an element of RICO if they cross state lines, but then proving it falls on those other conditions. I said the organization has to be in existence to perpetuate that crime in in multiple states, essentially. So yeah,
I
I'm
mean
agreeing with
it's yeah. So Bad Boy is
I don't believe that though, because this is
his
exactly what
son
got
was
R.
brought it
Kelly,
in.
right? This is literally what got R. Kelly, but he was in damn cahoots. He had police on the pay, like he was bad. He had the family on the payroll. I think Diddy was into some freak stuff, and the transporting across state lines intersects with drugs because like that's where they kind of get elements of that RICO. But I really believe that if he is guilty, when they go back and appeal, I think that he's going to have freedom. And I don't think it's just the way that they're going about it, because look at how we're having this conversation. Well, damn, there's elements of RICO if you X, Y,
Well,
and
I
Z.
mean, but
If we
that's because we don't understand law the way that as well as they do. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I understand law that well.
sure,
I,
sure,
I I
sure.
mean, I'm only going based off of memory, right? Quite honestly, only thing I'm aware of in regards to the whole trial is as they built a RICO case, and I'm
Law
not
is only
saying.
practice; it's never learned.
Well, that's also irrelevant.
But that's what people do, though. They bastardize law, the legal process, and litigious thoughts, right? Making these gumbos like we're doing. And all I'm saying is that I legally think that Sean Combs had the right to have whatever sex he wants with whoever he wants, wherever he wants. And I think that the solicitation of sex workers becomes increasingly problematic because they were all males. It was like it flips the whole thing for me. Like he got a
Not
whole bunch
all.
of hookers for his girlfriend, for his girlfriends. And like there's no way you could really even say that there's a relationship to try to double down on the domestic side of it, and you try to make it a RICO charge, because all I think this is a horrible domestic situation that has unraveled and evolved into a whole bunch of different things.
I don't know. I find it hard to believe that I can call somebody my significant other, but I get off on watching other men tear her apart. You can't convince me that that's your significant other. And what I
Apparently
believe,
he was
what I
into
believe,
it.
what I believe is he made her believe that she was a significant
Mm,
another. But that's what coercion is. It's when you make somebody believe something that's not there for the sake of your own gain. Because when it all boils down to it, let's just say 9 times out of 10 she wanted it. Let's just say 9 times out of 10 she wanted it, right?
via text, we can actually prove that. Yes.
Yeah, but fact of the matter is when, if you had to induce drugs into her system for whatever reason, then now you have to convince me that she always wanted it. Because yeah, a person changes their mind when they're high enough. I know this. When they high enough, they'll do some strange things, or when they
Mhm.
high enough, they certain things that they just numb to it, right? Right. I mean, the girl was talking about she was ingest in drugs on a daily basis throughout the day. You can't tell me that she was doing that and having sex willingly.
Let's talk about that because I think that's really where this comes. If that's buyer's remorse, I definitely think that's it. No one wants to be used. I laugh and joke and play a lot, but I think that's really what it came down to is that she realized that she was the nasty part of a lot of vacations for a lot of people. And I'm sure her self esteem, self worth took a huge hit. And I'm not like insensitive to that. It's just the fact that I did listen to her hit. I did see her rise to stardom. And what other projects did this artist release? Like her whole, and I'm not blaming her. I'm just saying she was on vacation. We saw it. This abuse may have been going on in the undercurrent, but she was going to Turks and Caicos and all over the world and the most exotic settings, literally doing the most exotic things. And I
But how
think
long were they together?
like at least 10 years. Like supposedly when
Okay,
she,
so that's what I'm saying. When you say she was on vacation, are you saying she was on a 10-year vacation? And if
yeah,
you're saying she was on a 10-year vacation, are you saying she was high for 10 years? And if you're saying she was high for 10 years, can you honestly say that she had sex every time knowingly and without coercion?
in the constraints, in the confines of a relationship. Yeah, that's exactly what
In
I'm
the
saying.
confines of a relationship, yes, but you're talking about her having sex with a bunch of men
You're right.
through all the time,
Because her boyfriend was into it.
and every time she was high, and
Yes.
never once did she not consent. Come on, man, like, you can't convince me that a person can consent and be high, but they can't consent and be drunk. You mean to tell me that she wasn't drinking? Are you saying that all of this time there was a bunch of baby oil but no drinks? The
No, no,
man got his own vodka
no.
for crying out loud.
I
You
think they
know
were
what
doing it
I'm
all. And I'm like we're talking about now. It's crazy. I do think that Shorty was drunk, high. I think she was playing. Maybe she was playing the role to get her man the way he wanted to be, and she was letting everybody feel like it was what she wanted. I don't think that there's uniqueness to that in her from millions of other
No,
women.
I don't. I don't either. I
Yeah,
just think that because it was her that that made it high profile, and because we know who she is. But if I had took anybody else, let's just say I had took a no name person and put her in her shoes,
hmm
you honestly would be taking a better look at this.
yes, it would be different. It would
you
be
you
different.
you,
It would.
so I think
And I'm
that's
not
interesting.
insensitive to her situation. It's just that look at the outcome. And don't forget that she got $30 million to shut the F up about this.
Okay, let me. Here's another question. Why would I pay you to shut up about something that didn't occur?
Sure. No, no doubt. We saw the video, yo. I saw the video. I saw him grab her, throw her, punch her, kick her. Diddy don't look like he weighs more than 150 something pounds, to be
Let
honest
me
with
let me add to that question. Okay, so you believe that part. Do
you. Yeah.
you also believe the part about the police officer that was actually working security in the building that he paid 100 grand to not say nothing?
I don't think I heard it that way. I heard Diddy paid 100 grand to have make sure this video didn't get out and it still got out.
Yeah, so what he did was he paid 100 grand for the video footage and for him to keep his mouth shut.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm spending all this money all over the place to keep my mouth closed, the question is, what is it that you don't want them to know, sir? What is it that you don't want the world to know? If I see the video, then obviously you can't sit here and tell me that you didn't beat the hell out of it. So what is it? What else
He
don't you want
doesn't
me to
want us
know?
to know all the things we're hearing. And a lot of it has to be made up because it sounds childish and not even fantastical. Like you heard about the macaroni and cheese, you heard about him liking the save sample, like all this weird stuff. Like that's why this is happening.
I didn't
It's
hear nothing about no macaroni and cheese. I don't know what you're
it's
talking
gross.
about.
It's gross. They're saying that I'm not even gonna echo it. They're saying his mom saved his jizz and she would put it on top of macaroni and cheese.
No
And I guess,
way.
yeah,
Yo, that's so
I
wild.
know, I
Oh,
know. And that's,
yo,
that's what I'm
man.
saying. Like it's just gross stuff that you keep hearing, and I don't even believe half of it anymore because it's so unnecessary. And guess what? It's not a crime. You could be a super freak, man. Be as freaky as you want to be, but where's the real crime? And that's what I'm trying to find, because I do believe in justice. If there
So
was,
I think so. The crime is the prostitution. The crime is the drugs. The crime is battery. Regardless of the fact that she paid an NDA, regardless of the fact that you signed an NDA, battery is battery, bro.
I have
And if I have evidence that proves that you did beat on that person, I don't need her testimony anymore.
I have
I don't.
issues with that, because
That's a
like,
shame. That's a
yeah.
shame. That's a
No, 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 no. I don't
shame.
believe that women should be beat.
What
It's just,
about moral issue? Do you have any moral issue with it?
yeah, you shouldn't beat anybody. I'm saying I have
No,
an
no, I'm talking about from the other side of the coin. I mean, I know you don't believe a person should beat anybody, or a person should put their hands on anybody. But my question to you is, from a moral standpoint, shouldn't he receive justice for that?
this is gonna sound so crazy. That's why we got to
It's
make it.
about to, because he didn't say no. It's about to
I
sound
think that Cassie
crazy.
Ventura was more of a mastermind than we'll ever give her credit for, because not only is she
Wow.
a woman, she's pregnant, she's pretty, and again, we forget she's an artist. Like, what if she was the one saying, like, nigga, like, I bet you could do some strange stuff to me, right? All the homies want to hit, and she didn't want to give him up. Because some of the other things I heard was that she couldn't go after Jay-Z because he had Beyonce. She was stuck with Diddy. Saying shit like that to Diddy may have spurred him to abuse, in my mind, abuse her more and do wild stuff like this. Not justifying it,
Wow.
not saying it's right.
You just justified it, bro. You
No,
just
I'm
did.
saying
You
that
did. You
Chris
just
Brown and Rihanna. No, 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 I didn't hit Rihanna. Chris Brown hit Rihanna. I'm saying that it's not the right thing to do, but these just do it because they feel that it's the right thing to do. And interpreting it and observing these things and unpacking them, I'm on the side of righteousness. So I'm not saying that you should be beating on anybody, but I'm saying that the drugs, the sex, the money, the power, the fame, all of these things contribute to the dysfunction. And I'm very
well,
clear.
that's fine. That's fine that they all contribute to dysfunction. But I mean, he's not on trial for dysfunction, and he's not on trial for how all this how it looks.
But he's not
He's
on
on
trial
trial
for the domestic part, though. He's not on trial. He's on trial for RICO. They're trying to say
exactly. But that's what I'm saying. But
that's
you
putting
got to
bombs on
understand
the
this.
Kid Cudi's car, that's shooting up places, that's
Yeah,
robbing
all of this stuff. Yeah,
niggas.
see, now it's all coming out. See, now you're saying stuff that actually occurred, and they got proof of it. So,
But I don't think that it's under, like, I don't think it's his organization, because you have to prove through all those capos. Okay, let me take a step back. They started RICO to get Al Capone. I learned about RICO about 30 years ago, and it is horribly devised because it is a weaponization of law enforcement. It is how they pursue people that they deem targets. I'm taking another step
I'm
back
okay
because,
with that though.
okay, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, everybody in the United States government killed through COINTELPRO. It's the same logic, is why I have a problem with it. That's all.
Well, you say that as if like Martin Luther King and Malcolm
I
X,
know. It's
had white gloves, and that they didn't never commit sin. Everybody we talking about is sinful. But I mean,
yeah.
I'm not saying that we should look at them all the same. But I mean, I'm not going to look at Malcolm X or Martin Luther King as if they never committed any sin. I mean, they both. I mean, we got documented proof that Martin Luther King slept around on his wife all the time, right? So am I supposed to pretend like that don't matter because he was the head of a civil rights movement? Like, I don't care if that he was head of the civil rights movement. That happened 40, 50 years ago. That's 67 years ago, as a matter of fact. Like, it happened a long time ago. I wasn't born when this happened. So as I said, like, so all of that occurred, and I'm supposed to still pretend like this guy's supposed to be on my wall? No, he's not. He has no reason to be on my wall. He never had a reason
Yo,
to be on my
MLK
wall.
can't be on the wall with Jesus
He's
and
never.
jazz.
He's never had a reason to be on my wall. And I don't have anything against Martin Luther King or Malcolm X and nothing like that. I'm just simply saying that I don't look at nobody with no white gloves if they're not Jesus. He's the only person that I know that once I touch him, nothing would come off on this glove. So, you know what I'm saying? So and that's my whole point about these two people is that when I touch them, they don't give me the same reaction that I would get from Christ. So what I'm simply saying is whether the FBI is targeting you, DOJ is targeting you, I don't care who's targeting you. if they got a reason to look at you, you got an issue. You got some type of issue because they ain't looking at me. Why they ain't looking at me?
That is how I wish I felt when this first happened because I didn't
Mhm.
handle it well. I rejected it well, and I said it at the time that I could be wrong, and I'm still in that process, truly. But I have an issue with the fact that the legal lines are not pointing straight to me. These are not linear legal lines from what I'm seeing. That's all.
Because it's a RICO case, bro. That's
Yeah,
why it doesn't have to look the same way as other cases
yeah.
because we're looking at a we're there that's what happens when you're attempting to establish the enterprise real time, right? So I can't even in open court convince you that the Cosa Nostra is a real thing, right? I can't just say it and all of a sudden, okay, so that's fact. No, I got to sit there and build proof of that, during the trial. So that's what they're doing. They're proving right now that all of this is his own doing. This is all his enterprise. His money is going into making sure that these things take place the way he wants it to. He's orchestrating this sort of thing, all of this stuff. This stuff isn't happening around him. You'd be fooled to think that all of this stuff is just organically happening around him. He's orchestrating all of this stuff. I mean, and he's smug in the thought that he's upset with his lawyers because they can't come up with a decent argument. Like because there is no argument. They're looking at him like, bro, you did this. like, what do you want us to do? Like, you did this. We need to see how this. We wait for everything to shake out the tree so we can try to hide away from something. But every time we turn around, they shake another person out the tree. You know what I'm saying?
You
One more.
laughing, man? It ain't funny,
It's like
man.
what, like one more
Crazy.
bottle of baby oil falls out the tree. Like, we
But then I
can't.
thought it was drugs in the baby oil at one point, and it was just the fact that it was a bunch of drugs, which consenting adults. You can't blame me if we all getting high because he's lost as much consent as everyone else. And
So let me ask you. Here's a good question for you because I like the fact that you use the word consenting adults.
okay,
Is prostitution legal in most states?
no.
Okay, so if I was in a state where it wasn't legal and I pay anybody to have sex, is that a form of prostitution?
Wait, you paid them to have sex? That's the definition of prostitution. So
Isn't it
yeah.
the definition of prostitution? I thought so. That's what I said. I thought so. So regardless
So it
of,
sounds like you defined it in a state.
yes,
So yes.
I just said. I mean, I'm just trying to make us,
I just don't
think
want to
all of the.
argue.
I know. I get that. I just said. I'm just saying. So if the definition term for prostitution is paying somebody for sex, and you say that he was paying her rent and the let's just say let's just use Cassie. If he's paying her rent, he's taking her to Caicos. He's buying her lifestyle for
Right.
10 straight years,
That's
and
right.
the payoff, the payoff is her swallowing loads of cum throughout the week. Is she
Yeah.
not getting paid for sex?
No.
Get the fuck out!
That's what she's into.
You can't prove that. You
Yes, you
can't
can.
prove that. You can't
I'm
prove that.
proving that now. Why do you
You can
think
see
you
you
know
can see the
people do anything to
coercion.
drive luxury cars and live in condos now because she's worth it? Do you understand?
No.
That's what they
Every chick that lives in LA right now that lives. I'm sitting there right now. I'm literally thinking of an apartment complex in my head right now, and I, for the life of me, if anybody in this apartment complex sees this show,
you talking about the house in Las Colinas?
bro, bro, when I say there are in innumerable hotel like apartment complexes in LA, right? That if you just happen to know the people that live in these they're charging people like I don't know. I'm just gonna say people like LeBron. I'm not gonna say LeBron, but let's say people like LeBron that NBA players, stuff like that, right?
Don't use
High
his name.
high,
Don't
high
use his
man.
name. You
Why I
talking
can't?
about Marcus Conley's ass. Marcus Conley
Okay,
lost
Marcus
a
Conley. Okay, so Marcus Conley,
Mhm.
they're paying people like him are they're charging these cats 10K, 20K for a couple hours, bro.
Mhm.
Right? And it's not legal in LA at all,
No,
but it
because
is
the
it is
blade is what
known.
they call it.
It is known, but I mean, what she is not doing is having a Mandingo party at her house every hour on the hour. Why is she not doing that? Because she can't handle it as a human being.
That's why she's
Right?
not a porn star, and Cassie was.
She wasn't a porn star.
Cassie was worried about him releasing these tapes. Supposedly, she never said it, but she kept making them. But then
My
that's what
question
they're
to you
doing,
is,
defend this, saying that that's coercion because
tell
she
me
wanted
one
to be a
porn
damn
star.
porn star.
Tell me one porn star that would have a problem with you releasing tapes.
A bunch of them. A bunch of them. That's
No,
what
they
that's
released their
the damn
own
porn
tapes.
industry now.
They released their own tapes.
Well, now they don't
I mean,
OnlyFans. Then
Kim
when they get with
Kardashian
the
released
studio,
2 tapes.
they always have an issue with the studio though, because the guy's too rough. They're doing this, or they didn't test right, or the scene wasn't right with this reason and that reason. That really does happen a lot in the adult industry.
That's a true statement, but that doesn't relate to the point
Sure.
of whether or not Cassie is doing this by choice or by coercion. And the reason why I'm so convinced that it's coercion because we
Mm.
do know that drugs and alcohol were also introduced into these situations. And
Diddy didn't
and hold
invent
on,
it.
not to mention, that P Diddy is also in a position of power in this situation.
Okay.
Okay, so you can't you just because of what she wanted. I mean, her aspirations does not tell me that she is willing to do what she is forced to do in order to get where she wants to be,
What was
right?
she
So
forced to do?
I mean, like I said, you cannot convince me that if there's alcohol and drugs in the process of a 10-year span relationship, that every time she always knew and always consented to everything that was going on to her. If she tells me that I don't remember certain things, that scares me, right? Right? And let's just talk about a one night stand. Just a one night stand. If somebody tells you that they do not remember what happened last night, what is the first thing you tell them to go do?
Go get a test.
Exactly.
Go find a rape
Exactly.
kit.
So this girl says there are portions of her life that she does not remember. There's blankets of days that she does not remember. If you don't remember a whole full day, how did you give consent during that day?
She also remembers getting sexually transmitted infections and then becoming incurable because they kept happening. So I mean, I'm not knocking this chick or her hustle, but she was hustling that she was hustling hard, homie.
Man, you are the worst type of person to have on a jury.
I'm that juror that they were probably looking for because it just don't make no sense. Like I'm not mad at her, I'm not mad at him. Y'all did y'all thing, but you can't bring me into it and try to have the law jump in y'all draws. That's what I have an issue with.
That's
You
because
get
you're trying
me?
to pretend. But well, that's because you're trying to pretend as if this is a new concept or this
Mm.
is a new thing in their life. This is not new, obviously, because the paperwork that she signed, the NDA she signed was a long, long time ago, wasn't it? That NDA she signed, the NDA that the dude, the security guard signed, was a long time ago. All of these NDAs were a long time ago.
The
But there's
statute of
people.
limitations has passed on all of them.
Well, yeah, and that's fine for me as far as the statute of limitations for battery. I get that. But the problem is that's not what they're trying to prove in the RICO case. They're not
Murder
trying
is
to
the
prove
only thing that doesn't have a statute of limitation. Everything else
that
there
that,
is a
that,
statute.
that,
Yeah,
that but that's true. And
yeah.
I'm not arguing that. What I'm arguing is the fact that if they were if even with the statute of limitations, I don't need I don't need to prove that he I don't need to prove battery in this situation. I need to
Mhm.
prove that there was an organization
Yeah.
that was that he utilized the organization to make profit through or with drugs, through or with um uh what's the word
Court.
solicitation of people. And the worst thing that we haven't discussed, kids. He been messing with kids.
We'll get to that before we go to
No,
Trump.
you ain't gonna be acting like that. Ain't no, that don't matter.
We're gonna get to that before we get to Trump. But how do you have a criminal organization that's designed for domestic violence? Is my thing. You can't
Because
make
that's
a
not what
RICO
that's not,
case out of that. They're trying and it look dumb.
no, they're not. No, they're not. No, they're not. That's not what they're trying to do at all. That's what I'm
Okay.
saying. Like if you, I'm trying to think of the name. I think his name is Nate the lawyer. If you watch his
Oh, I
channel, watch
love
his
Nate the Lawyer on Instagram.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah,
But
that's
I
what's up.
usually watch him on I watch him on YouTube.
Okay. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and I tell everybody if you get a chance, look at Nate the Lawyer's video about the Diddy trial, and listen to how he explains how the RICO charges can or won't stick, right?
he's been doing this
And
for a long time, and I don't want to say he's on Team Diddy, but he's making the case that these RICO charges will struggle to hold up.
yeah, so I mean, I would lean towards his expertise in the matter.
Mhm.
I just say just from a person that's just watching the situation. Yes, of course, it sickens me when I hear the things that I'm hearing.
Yeah.
But if I was to put everything aside, my only question to all of these grown-ups are why are we talking about kids? What happened with the kids? Tell me, just I mean, let's put everything else to bed for a second. Tell me what happened with the kids. Were the kids having sex with anybody? Were the kids involved? Were the kids present? Tell me
Did you
why we are
did you hear that
discussing
they made
children.
clear that there was
Huh?
no, from what I've heard, there was no sexual stuff with this Diddy stuff with any kids. They were talking about kids that were at the parties that got dark after they left, this, that, and the other, but supposedly no kids. I have seen a video on the web with some, I'll call her a whore, talking about a party she was at, and there were little people that were dressed in costumes or something like that.
Yeah, I remember what she was saying, but she did, but she if you listen to the whole interview, she
Mhm.
made a point of making it clear that she was not talking about midgets.
Okay, so she could have been talking about kids. That's what I've heard.
Well, she didn't want to say kids because she didn't want to. She didn't want to, come. I don't know why she didn't just come out and say it,
So
but she
between,
her illusion was to it being those being kids, not little people. You know what I'm
but
saying?
between her, you, and I, and the Oompa Loompas, there were no kids that were confirmed. Just us talking about we will go to the end of the world to punish Diddy if he did it, right?
If he did it, yeah, yeah. Real talk, real talk. I like the way you put that. I will go to the ends of the earth to punish you if you mess with some babies. But
You're right.
my whole thing, this is what kind of, and I don't want to belabor the point, but when I think of like people like Justin Bieber and I think of people like Usher, and I just wonder what is it that he couldn't divulge to us when he talked about, because when that video of him and Justin Bieber, like, they were just talking about he was going to be spending the weekend with him or whatever. He's like, we really can't tell you what we're going to be doing, you know what I'm saying? Because it's more of an inside thing. And then when I just watched, Justin's body language, for the two videos that I watched, you could just see how uncomfortable he looked, right? And also how puzzled he looked because he's a child. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, I don't know if Diddy is capable of this sort of thing because he got kids, right? I don't know if he's capable of it. I
I
like to
really
hope
hope
and pray
not.
that he's not capable of this sort of thing. But if he's out there bothering, I mean, messing with children, man, I hope the worst for him, bro. Real talk.
And that's the perfect place to end that, because that is justice, and I believe in justice. To
Yeah.
close this one out, I think that we should talk about a very prominent figure in our justice system, someone that you probably feel is reigning supreme and um, delivering swift justice, Donald Trump.
Yeah. So in his last 100 or so days, how would I critique his, what I've seen so far? Um, I would say the systems that he's putting in place is exactly what I voted for.
Hmm.
I think the only issue is that we still have a biased media that isn't telling us a full story or even a correct story. We still have corrupt politicians in both the Senate and the House. We still got corrupt politicians in state legislature that are making things difficult for those of us that went out and voted for a purpose to see that purpose come to fruition. What do I want? What is it that Doug wants? Doug wants to see the type of revenue that he saw in 2019. I
Amen.
want to, what I'm saying? I want to see that type of revenue again, just in my own household. But why can't I? Well, because the last 4 years I've been worrying about stupid stuff like gas and the price of eggs, right?
Mm,
So yeah, and then of course, you got those people from the other side of the tracks that they don't understand my plight, right? Because they don't have to go grocery shopping, or they don't have to go put gas in their own car,
sure.
or you know what I'm saying, all the things that I have to do throughout the week, they can take for granted because they can afford a different, crime, right? I mean, they don't have to worry about the crime that people like you and I have to deal with because they got private security. So they
Uh-huh.
can say defund the police
Hmm.
because that's my only protection I have. They want to defund the only protection I have. You know what I'm saying? For whatever reason, it sounds like to me that I got people in this country that are sworn to uphold the Constitution. You know what I'm saying? But they hate this country, right?
Mm,
And I sat there and watched a poll that said that AOC looks like the leader of the Democratic Party,
yeah.
right? And if that holds true, then that would scare the crap out of me, considering that her best of friends hate this country. Her best of friends, like if you're going to sit here and tell me that the Muslim girl don't hate this country, then you have to convince me that she love it. So I mean, and I can't even think of her name because she annoys me that much that I try not to remember it. But but
I want to make
I'm
a point on that. Politics is evolving, and the Democratic Party, unfortunately, has devolved. I think that we focus our attention on the fact that African Americans have barely held constant in this party, and women are joining the party at greater numbers. So, who's leading? White
right.
men and everyone diverse is running away from the Democratic Party. They feel that they are losers. They feel that they, again, aren't winners. Their policies are ineffective, and everything about them is incredibly narrow. I think that in this point in history, it's safe to say Democrats are viewed as weak.
Yeah.
And with this opportunity, I want to see what the Democratic Party does. I don't know if there's actually going to be a new or real leader to emerge, if it's AOC, if it's Bernie Sanders. No, not Bernie
Please,
Sanders.
Lord, no.
But
Check it out. I think of it like this. Think of it like this. Let's just say, hypothetically speaking, for whatever reason, the Democratic Party decided, how about we try to work with them? You know what I mean? Like, does that sound weird
it sounds like
to you?
accepting defeat, and that's what they've
No,
done.
what's wrong with that? Because every basketball team has to accept defeat at least once, right?
Championship.
Every football team has to accept defeat at some point throughout the year, right?
Championship game, not going
Yeah,
to the
and
playoffs.
not even that. I mean, just a simple loss on your record is a loss on your record, right? And I just think that the Democratic Party, for better or worse, has gotten tied up with I rather hate Trump than do my job.
You know what? I don't know anymore because this time around, Trump is different. So it's like nailing Jello to a wall. It's like he's not the nicest or the most gracious of people, but what is he really standing for? What is he doing? Because he's changing it up, just like him and Elon Musk beefing now. So I think that's interesting because those are traits and characteristics of a productive leader. But
Yeah,
is
yeah.
he going in a different direction? Is he populist, or is he really some type of forward-thinking visionary
Well,
leader?
what I know he's not against humanity, in the sense that he would rather see a smaller number of people so that the world could survive, right? So that's your difference between the two parties right now, right? Your biggest difference between the two parties, the ideology of man versus the world, right? Now, if you ask any Democrat what is the leading major situation in the country right now, you know what they'll say? Global warming,
That might be right.
which is a shame, right? because there's plenty of things going on in this world that the average person is not thinking about how hot it's getting outside. Like, you know what I mean? You know what they might be thinking about? Like what I'm aware because it's gonna be hot outside, right?
Right.
But they're not thinking about, oh my God, it's so hot outside. That must mean there's too many humans on this earth,
I
right?
mean, but
But
that's what we're learning through science and why this global climate situation is becoming the number one priority. But that's a massive debate, and
would
it's
you
like,
call it a would you call it a security concern?
yeah,
And
abs-
over the major the biggest security concern in the world right now is global warming.
I would say so for a lot of reasons. Seriously,
Really?
because what if you delve into the text of
You know, there's two wars going on right now, right?
global warming's killing more people.
You know, there's two wars going on right now. And
Global
no,
warming's killing more.
that's not true, bro. That's not true. That's
Okay,
not true. Like
okay.
that's not even close to half true.
Alexa,
Like,
how many people have been killed in the Ukrainian-Russian war?
During the Russo-Ukrainian War, an estimated 42,295 people
42K.
have been killed.
And that's over. Is it 3 years? It's been like 4 years now. Three.
okay, now ask her how many people has been killed in the Israeli and Palestinian war.
Alexa, how many people have been killed in the Israeli and Gaza war?
I'm not quite sure how to help you
Alexa,
with that.
stop. I struggled. Alexa, how many people have been killed in the Israel-Gaza war?
The 2014 Israel-Gaza conflict
2014.
involved 2,205 on October 15, 2014, and 71 on October 15, 2014.
Alexa, how many people have been killed in the most recent Israel-Palestine conflict?
Sorry, I don't have an answer for that.
I don't know.
Might
Is
be
it
you. I
Gaza or is
mean,
it Palestine right now, or is it the
you,
PLO?
I would use Chat GPT, but I if put it like this, and the reason I want to get back to what I mean, and you brought up a good point. You made it kind of easy for me to make my point now, because you say that the biggest issue in the world right now, security wise, is global warming, right?
I said that
So,
could be perceived as the biggest issue.
well, you said you can see how that could be the issue.
Oh, sure.
Okay, so let's just say, for the sake of conversation, that you are on the side for global uh, uh, treatment versus me being on the side for humanity's sake, right? So now, when I get to this question, the first thing you're going to try to do is pivot. Watch this. Now, how many how many abortions have happened in the past 10 years?
You might be making a really good point. I have no idea. A lot.
Okay, so if there are over 1 million abortions per year, right? We let's just say only 40K died in the first conflict, and let's just say, for the sake of conversation, only 15,000 in the second conflict. But you also have that million for the year, right? We're talking about, since Trump first took office to his second term, is approximately 8 years, right? So in that 8 year span, who's killed more people, the government or the world?
Oh wow, I have no idea. But 62,000 people died in Israel, Gaza. So you got at least 100K. If you the government of the world, is abortions the government?
You right now, you paying tax dollars. I mean, well, up until up until our president signed an executive order saying that you won't have to ever again, you were paying tax dollars so that that woman could go get an abortion, because she rather have sex rather than wear a condom, without wearing a condom, rather than just get married first.
Mm-hmm.
So, right. So, I mean, if we put all of this stuff in the same pot, do you see what we're dealing with? We're dealing with a lot of dead bodies now,
Yes.
right? And my question to you is global warming still something that I need to put a lot of attention to, or should I be wondering why we're killing off so many people?
I'm going to be wise in this because I get that you don't like global warming, appreciate it, or
I don't
think.
I don't care. I don't care. It's not
But
that.
global warming costs us so much money in transportation, these incredible weather events. You got to remember that there's going to be famine in different parts of the world, the way that this affects industrial farms. And I'm just going to go with those 4 points to start with the topic of global warming because it is incredibly far reaching. And then you do have to look at the policies of Donald Trump versus the policies that everyone else had been working for the 20 years prior to his rejection of things like the Kyoto Protocol, the all the world protocols for
Yes,
environment.
as you should, bro, as you
Okay.
should, because
Mm-hmm.
see, fact of the matter is we don't realize who Trump is,
Okay.
right? I don't think that the average person understands who we're dealing with, and what type of person we're dealing with, and what type of person when you take that type of person and you make him the most powerful person in the world,
Mm-hmm.
if he cares about your humanity, what would he do with it?
Protect it, preserve it, grow it.
Exactly. So
Mm-hmm.
everything he's doing, it's going to only piss off one party for some reason. It's only pissing off one party because your party could care less about your black life. Why? Because your black life is only matters of votes. So if the black vote is already moving and that now they can't get Mexicans and other foreign nations to get through the southern border, this is why they don't have a plan. Because the reason why they don't have a plan is their goal was catastrophe. That
Mm-hmm.
is how Marxism works. Is you
You can
completely
replace
fail to.
Marxism with Democratic Party, and they come to your neighborhood every so many years, and you wonder why the hood still look the same. I get it. I mean, I'm with it. I get it.
I'm just trying to make it, a micro standpoint rather than macro. I mean, because if we're looking at it from a global standpoint, the average person won't even understand it anyway, right? But every time I bring it to your doorstep and say, okay, but that person has to live with you,
It's
right?
different.
It's
Hits
different now,
different.
right? That person gets to have your job,
Yeah.
the job that you wanted. No, I'm not going to pay you $20 an hour because he's going to do it for 5.
Right. But that's how these tariffs work. And that's what upsets me about what's gone on so far before we break is that, and it could be a brilliant move on Trump's part, but he's talking so much and he's trying to overextend foreign governments with tariffs. Historically or empirically, for the last 100 plus years, tariffs don't work. And they don't work the way that he's trying to put them on people. He's trying to erase surplus. He's trying to erase trade surplus. Countries that don't buy enough of our products become more punished. But where he messed up is that China is everyone's plug. You're not going
I think you got that backwards, but I hear what you're saying.
you know what I'm saying. So
I
that's
do hear
that's
what you're saying.
that's
The
all
only
I'm
reason you got it backwards is because if you pay attention to what's going on with China right now, the
doing.
reason why their economy is faltering is because they cannot handle the shopping cart of the world,
Mm-hmm.
right? The reason why they can't handle shopping cart of the world is because they don't have as many. They don't import like they export, just like the rest of the world doesn't import like they export. America is
Right.
the number one consumer of the entire world. We consume well over 10% of all the resources in the world, right?
Yes.
And we're doing that with our middle class, bro. Now
Yeah.
you have to make sense of that part. If your middle class is buying from the rest of the world in order to make their businesses run, and then that country's president says, you know what, this is what I'm getting sick of. I'm gonna tell you what I'm getting sick of. I'm getting sick of you charging me $10 to bring your stuff over here. Then you're charging the company $10 to get it off of the ship. And then they have to charge $10 in order to sell it. And then
Right.
now I have to charge this person $10 for buying it. You see how now all of a sudden taxes are becoming a problem now? It's because I went from just a straight tariff to now I have to tax in order to make the tariff back, right? So what President Trump is now doing is saying, you know what we're not going to allow y'all to do is shake us down anymore, right? So I want you to start thinking of it as not think of this from a situation where what we're losing, but think of it from a standpoint of what we gain now, right? Because of those, let's just say those first big 20 countries that he had imposed tariffs on them, all of them have reached negotiating terms with
Yeah,
us to do better, right? That they're going to do better. Now, why would they say they're doing better if they weren't doing anything wrong?
it's
Like
more
why
favorable to us. It's not about better or worse.
but it is favorable to us, yes, but
Yeah,
it's favorable to us when the situation betrayed. But the question is what was going on at first and why was that a problem? Because if it wasn't a problem, then they probably would still be dealing with this. But
they
they're
want to
not dealing
remain
with it.
plugged in. That's why it's an extortion move, and that's why Trump is more likely to go under for RICO if he wasn't
No,
president.
I think you're looking at this as if it's some type of law involved. There's no way you're going to convince me that I don't have the right as the governing force of a country to impose a tariff for any purpose, especially if your customs don't align with my customs. For let's say, for instance, if you're a Muslim country, right, and your country has no problem beating women in the streets, well, I'm probably not going to do business with you because I don't necessarily like how you treat women, right? So, for instance, if America has stopped doing business with a country in Africa because they didn't allow people to have gay marriage, you
Mhm.
probably wouldn't have a problem with that. You
Maybe not.
probably would. Well, you probably wouldn't, and the only reason you wouldn't have a problem with it is because um, from a situational state, they're doing something you like, right? But fact of the matter is
Not
by me.
necessarily. I mean, I mess with Djibouti.
That's scary that you said that out loud.
It is really scary.
Just pause. I mean, just pause. We do
That was a pause moment.
pause.
But you get
Pause.
what I'm saying, though. Like, if it was Madagascar, if that's better on the tongue,
This is getting worse.
that was the only country I could think of.
Madagascar.
That was the only other country I could
You
think
got a
of.
Madagascar.
Like, what do we get? We get chocolate from Madagascar. The military is involved in the country of Djibouti, which the capital is also Djibouti. Those are all I can think of. Kenya, what do we buy?
I don't want to make fun, but let me just be honest. Okay, I believe I believe in what I am learning and what I am seeing is if you can deal with 4 years, if you can get through the last 4 years, you can handle these next few months because these next few months every system that replaces one system, you have to wait for the old system to taper off, right? And once we've tapered off all of the bad policies that the Democratic office have put into place, once with those have all tapered off, you'll see people really out in the streets rejoicing. Like right now, what you'll see when you turn on the news, you'll see farmers out in the street praising Trump. You'll see metal workers out in the streets praising Trump. Why are they praising Trump? Because the tariffs that he has done has created thousands of jobs already. Thousands. And if
I
you're
don't think
looking at me like that,
that.
that just tells me that I mean, the reason why, funny part, watch this, guys, everybody that's watching this. You see how Brian is looking at me? Brian is looking at me like that because he only watches a specific type of news.
Mm,
And because he only watches a specific type of news, he misses a lot of what I'm talking about. I hear everything you're saying, and it's because
mhm,
I heard all of that before. But
mhm.
also, when you know this other side of the coin and you're able to make the decision for yourself, you're not sitting here trying to find ways to paint your own president as a dictator he never tried to be, right? Because quite honestly, if he wanted to be a dictator, he had an opportunity 4 years ago,
Right. I agree.
right? If he wanted to take your black jobs, he had an opportunity four
He's
years ago.
taking them now.
No,
He
actually,
came for the black jobs
he's
now.
creating them now. He's
I hope so.
creating them by telling those people in Venezuela or those people in Nicaragua or those people in Africa or those people in Iraq or so on and so forth. You can't come here illegally. Or, a matter of fact, I'm just going to close the border until we resolve things in America. There's nothing wrong with that.
Mm-mm.
Because put it like this: if you was having an issue with your wife and your kids at home, you're not gonna open the door every time the doorbell rings. You're gonna tell whoever at the door, "Hey man, I need you to come back later. I'm dealing with stuff." Right?
Right.
You gotta. I mean, I'm saying, people have to start looking at things from a smaller standpoint and stop trying to pretend like they know how to be a president. You don't know how to be a president. You know what I'm saying? Like, and even though you don't like him, even though I didn't like Biden, right? Even though I did not I like Biden, what I was 100% sure of is that Biden didn't know he was president half the time. So that I knew that going in. So now Brian's News is trying to pretend like they didn't know this. Like they trying to pretend like they just found out that the man did not know that he was the president. Right? He didn't know that he was signing a bunch of executive orders that he had no ties to. He didn't know he didn't know that Jill Biden was running the country. He didn't know that Obama got a third term. He didn't know none of this. He didn't know none of this. You know why he didn't know this? Because CNN wouldn't tell you that. CNN pretended they didn't know. CSNBC pretend like they didn't know. C-SPAN pretend like they didn't know. CBS pretend like they didn't know. They all pretended like they didn't know. But Fox News has been telling you the same thing for 8 straight years. And you know what you called them? Racist. You know what you called them? Liars. And now all of a sudden, you got the whole rest of the country that finally, after 4 years of dealing with this mess, they say, you know what? No more. So they vote him back in. Right. So I want you to start thinking about things from a, I mean, we can't think of everything from an empirical standpoint. Sometimes we got to look at it just from a macro standpoint or a micro standpoint, even, because quite honestly, I think that if a person look at things as if it were just them that had to deal with it, if it were just them that had to deal with it, how would you handle it? Right? Because whether we're talking about immigration, whether we're talking about tariffs, whether we're talking about jobs, whether we're talking about the economy, war, anything, if you had to be the one to be directly involved in these situations, how would you want it to play out? You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, because you live in Texas, the border situation should be an issue for you. I would think. I would think it'd be an issue for you. But unless you live in a different part of Texas, you probably don't see it. I don't know. But if it's anything like Los Angeles, as the size of Los Angeles is so big, I don't see what's going on the other side of town. You know what I'm saying? Or I'm from the other side of town, and I bring the mess over to your side of town, so I get to complain about something that doesn't necessarily exist because I'm making it up as I go. You know what I'm saying? You can't say that about Texas because you know for a fact that there's hundreds of thousands of people trying to pour in the country just as early as the year before, just last year. So I'm saying, like,
I'm going to close on is Trump and the nuances of a pluralistic melting pot. Trump, in his first 100 days, has done many things, and I certainly want the United States to win. I want us to be successful. With that being said, it does take time for things to taper off, but it also, there is also an echo. And Biden, with whatever he, Jill, or Kamala did, their policies will have an echo for the next couple of years.
Yeah.
Hopefully, our incumbent will carry the torch and lead us through these trying times. As far as pluralistic societies and cultures like cities in LA, Houston, where white people are a minority, where everybody's black and brown, I think that there are unique circumstances and things like border security. They are important, but I also am sobered with the reality that these people have been coming and going through these parts for longer than we've known them as these parts. And also, look at our population. Look at our country. We're not having babies. And I think that a lot of these developed nations are truly at a point where immigrants are about to take them over. And I think America, I think that's China, I think that's so many developed nations. And that's the wave that we're going to observe on this show for the next 20 years.
Yeah. Do you watch Joe Rogan at all?
Man, you know it.
Dude, watch the show he just did with Cash Patel.
That's your boy. Okay, I'll watch it.
I mean, I honestly didn't know nothing about Cash Patel. Honestly, didn't know nothing about him. But like, I sat there and listened to that whole goddamn interview, and I didn't take anything away about him, but
Mm,
I did learn quite a bit about a lot of cover-ups, a lot of
okay.
things that I challenge anybody that can sit there and just sit there and watch an interview. I think it's like 2 hours, bro. I mean, it's quite a bit of time. But if you can sit there and just listen to it and start asking yourself questions like, did I believe that?
Mm.
Right? Like, because I mean, obviously stuff is just coming out right now. As far as
Yeah.
the FBI is concerned and DOJ is concerned, there's too much coming out. Like the whole Russia collusion thing, when all of that stuff is coming out right now. You know what I mean? And I challenge people to ask themselves, for the past 8 years, you've hated a person that, quite honestly, had the best intentions.
Mm.
He had the best intentions, and I can say that because when he got voted into office, I didn't vote for him. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I didn't vote for him when he got voted into office the first time. I had to sit it out and watch, right? And I got to watch without a biased standpoint because of the simple fact that I didn't see anybody to vote for in this situation. When I'm looking at him, I'm looking at Hillary. I'm like, I don't know, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I
What
don't
is
know
the
how to.
lesser of two evils, right?
I don't know which one of these people should I vote for. I'll sit this one out. Now, obviously, it didn't matter who I would have voted for because he became president, right? So I got a chance to just to watch objectively for 4 straight years. Then I got a chance to watch objectively for another 4 straight years, and here I am now, and I'm looking at our current country, and I can say this with a straight face that this is the second time the Lord has given us a reprieve as a country to get our heads out of our butt, right? To get away from this idea that he. Okay, let me see if I can drive this home real fast because I don't want to over talk. Whether I believe in God or not, right? And we do know that I do. I am quick to say that every country, no matter who the president, prime minister, so on and so forth, they were placed there by the Lord Himself. The Bible says that, right? So if that holds true, then me as a Christian, I cannot war against my government. I cannot. I am to respect my government, no matter how much I don't like them. No matter how much, I'm supposed to respect my government. And I chose to respect my government for these past 4 years. Now I didn't like them, but I respected them, even to the point where I even started working for the government in these past 4 years
Mhm.
under the very president that I swore did not know he was president. Right? I say all that to say this. I say all that to say this. I don't have to be black. I don't have to be Mexican. I don't have to be any color in order to just be an American.
Right.
But in order to be an American, I have to have an allegiance to the red, white, and blue, not to to the African color that you chose to change my country into. You know what I'm saying? I'm just being funny. I'm just
Mhm.
simply saying I don't have any allegiance to the color of my skin because I know from a scientific fact that nobody chooses that, right? I've seen two dark people have an albino kid. So obviously, color is of no consequence in these conversations unless you want it to be. So since I put all of that to the side and I'm just looking at things objectively, I've seen two parties do two different things. I've seen one party do everything it can to try and build up the economy and try to put money into schools and try to put money into urban neighborhoods. And I see another just talk about what the other one isn't doing enough of, or how the other one is racist, how the other one doesn't treat the LGBTQIA community like they exist. Like, motherfucker, I don't have to pretend like anybody exists. I walk around the country, around the world all day, pretending like I'm the only one there. You know why? Because I'm married. You know what I'm saying? I spend all day pretending I'm alone. So if I can do that for everybody on earth, believe me, I can do that for people that's pretending like they're boys or people that's pretending like they're girls. But for a party to put that at the forefront of their political stance, like this is what we're going to pay most attention to, is the LGBTQ community. You know what that tells me? They're not taking things seriously. You're not taking the war in Gaza seriously because you're too busy telling me that I'm supposed to treat her like a man. You're not taking the war between Russia and whatchamacallit seriously because
Mm.
you're telling me that I need to hire him because he's black. You're not taking things seriously. You're not taking the fact that eggs cost $12. A carton of eggs costs $12. Like I'm supposed to be okay with that because the only rational thought process you could give me behind it costing that much is because tariffs that just got put in place 2 weeks ago. I'm not a fool, bro. And I think that it's time for us as people to stop being foolish and
Yeah.
stop pretending as if things just happen because of how somebody thinks. I don't care if Trump was the most racist person on earth. He is the worst racist person on earth. He is just not good at it. You know why? Because he keeps pouring money into the black community. He keeps doing it, and I don't know why. I would say, I ain't giving them money because no more money. I ain't giving them no more money because they don't see anything.
Right.
It's almost like they don't see it. He literally said what more do you have to lose? You know why he said that? Because even in his presidency, he showed you that the Democratic Party can take everything away from you and promise you to give it and promise you that they'll give you the world.
Yeah.
And all you got to do is vote for them. And Lyndon Johnson said that he'll have them voting how many years? 100 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
He said 100. I mean, he ain't done yet.
You have for
he,
100 years. That's true.
I mean, he ain't out of his window. He still got a window. 100 years ain't over yet since
He got
Lyndon Johnson
40
been
more. He's
president.
got 40 more.
Exactly. So in my lifetime, I've seen nothing happen that black people can be happy for, except what I saw 8 years ago. When I saw so many black people become millionaires, it was incredible.
Yeah.
When I saw so many black people graduate college, it was incredible. I saw so many black people go to college. It was incredible. So many
Black.
black entrepreneurship. I mean, it rose exponentially. And then out of nowhere, it stopped. Why? Because you try to say that COVID took it away from you. I was
Yeah,
working during COVID, bro.
I
Not
was.
you. I know you didn't say that. I'm just saying, just think about it. Me and you both was working during COVID, right? I was still massaging people during COVID. So obviously I know that COVID didn't take away anything except time, right?
Black millionaires are still growing though. They're still the largest growing
It's growing.
graphic.
It's growing. I'll finish by saying this. If we as whether we be believers or not, and I like to talk directly to believers in this matter because that's the standpoint I'm going to stand from. If you can't preach it on the pulpit, then it's probably evil. It's probably evil if you can't preach it on a pulpit, right? So if you can't and when I say that, I mean that if you cannot align it with scripture, I can align borders with scripture. I can do that. You probably didn't know you could do that, but I can align borders with scripture. I can also align free trade with scripture. I can take scripture and I can show you how people traded, and there was a means of right and wrong in the situation, right? There was a moral compass in the situation, right? It wasn't all based on how he looked, right? You know what I mean? I mean, when you talk about that, the Ethiopian that met Philip on the road, you know what I'm saying? Like Philip didn't tell him, nah, bro, you kind of black, so I can't tell you what's going on in that scripture you reading. You know what I'm saying? You know what he told him? He told him that the guy that that they crucified. That's what they was talking about. The guy that you're listening, that you're reading the Old Testament about, the guy they crucified. That's who the Old Testament was talking about, or that's who the scripture we're referring to. And I say all that to say this: if we as Christians don't take over, and by over I mean we start talking rather than just sitting around going to church and just bad mouthing the white guy at the top of the hill. And this is what I see, man. This is why I don't go to church. I'll be honest with you. This is why I don't go to church, because I've seen too many pulpits that spend so much time talking about their own leaders, and then when I say that, aren't you supposed to respect your leaders as a Christian? Well, now scripture doesn't matter. Now scripture don't matter. The scripture matters, don't it? So I mean, we gotta respect our leaders no matter what. I can't think of her name. I think it started with a K. She's the governor of Alaska right now, Kowalski or something like that. Now, she had pulled something when President Trump first got into office, that when I heard her do it, that she did it, everything in my mind told me that I need to go on Facebook or something and just do a post that say, Kowalski, do that again and we voting you out. I wanted to say that. Right? But then I thought about it and I was just like, that, you know how disrespectful that sounds? You know what I'm saying? For a person, you mean for me to disrespect somebody because based on them voting, based on them voting up or down, I get to disrespect you? Nah, I don't see that as proper. I don't see that as American. I think that the whole reason behind us having a electoral base and an electoral class is so that when we put people into these offices, that they're there to be representatives of us. But even though they're being representatives of us, I'm also voting in them to be a leader of mine. So you have to have some decor when you're dealing with these sort of people. Now, if they live outside your state, they're not a leader of yours. In that case, you know what I'm saying? They're free reign. I don't think I wouldn't necessarily call them a leader. I don't think they have any power over me outside the state. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I think you're right. I think we need to stop trying to find reasons to hate and start trying to find reasons to be American. Because the funny thing about America, it's the only place in the world where people talk crap about it but won't leave.
Right.
They won't go. Like, I mean, if you really hate it here, feel free to to utilize those color schemes and pick one of those areas and go back to Africa. If you think that they're gonna be happy to have you, go try it out. You know what I'm saying? If you think that Venezuela will be happy to have you, go try it out. But I guarantee you will come back, because this is the freest country the world has ever known. Period. And it's going to be freer because of the current president. And if we keep Republicans in office, we'll be fine. I think.
Let's see where we are in 4 years, and hopefully it is a better place. Did you have any projects you wanted to share before we break?
Well, actually, I'm gonna be taking a whole bunch of leave, bro. I'm gonna be on leave until September 31st. So I'm gonna be just doing a lot of vacation, spending time with family. You know what I'm saying? Trying to better my marriage. Better myself as a father and husband. And then get back to it. But
that's powerful. I like that, man. You deserve that.
Yes, I'm gonna go to California this week. As a matter of fact, I'm going later on tonight. I'm gonna leave, get on the plane tonight, and only thing I'm taking with me is clothes and my Bible and my notebook. Because if for better or worse, the only things in life that I find enjoyable is no particular order, but shooting pool and listening to Christian commentary. And I don't know why I'm not an apologist at this point. I don't know why I'm not considered a well-known commentator, on these matters.
We need to know where to find your content. Is
Well,
Christian
I don't have none. I really should. Some part of me tells me I really should, dabble into the you know, to these channels. But I don't know, man. A part of me just want to stay, not neutral, but anonymous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A part of me just wants to enjoy the thought of just being a nobody. I kind of like it. You know what I
Well, if
mean?
you think about you wanting to record something on any platform that'll have it, I think I have one for you, and you just let me know when.
Yeah, well, you know me, man. I'm always down to be a part of whatever, bro. I just want to make sure that I'm doing things without my, I don't want to make it. I don't want my life to, when I look back and say the only reason why it didn't work out is because I was doing it my way.
Mm,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? And I say that to anybody that's listening, yo. If you living your life your way, that's probably why things ain't working out, or that's probably why it won't work out for long.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's my take on it, though.
No, I think those are all words of wisdom. Um, I can't wait till the next episode.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. All right, man. Well, hey, man, love you, bro, and I see you on your birthday. So
Yeah,
excited.
man, I'm gonna see you next.
I'll
Man,
see you on
get
your
on that
birthday.
plane, have a safe flight, and we're gonna link up soon, man.
All right, brother. Well, I'll see you next week.
For sure.
All right, then.